because I think the message from my minister was already recorded, and I don't know if you already played it or not, but anyway, I made a promise to Mr. Cheema this morning that you won't call me on the podium to make a speech and bore the participants, but nonetheless, since given the importance of this topic, I thought it appropriate to talk for a few minutes. First of all, thank you everyone for being here. Dr. Dindo has come all the way from Bangkok, Mr. Cheema, Professor Saab from the Quaid-e-Azam University, Florence, whom I've had the pleasure of working very closely on the Living Indus project, Living Indus initiative rather, and the ladies from the GIZ and the Canadian Embassy. Climate change is something which, as a student, we used to read about 15, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And at that point in time, people used to think that it's an academic debate and it's not going to happen in our lifetime. But unfortunately, it's very real. And while at the Climate Ministry, in the last 3 years, I'm by the way, the longest serving additional secretary, or the secretary for that matter, in this ministry. So I've had some, repository of some experience of, as to what has happened within the past 3 to 5 years. This is something very real. And I speak from experience because in one of my past assignments up north in Gilgit, people used to conserve water for their winter crops. And I'm also heading one of the projects which is called the GLOF2 project. So I've had the pleasure of going up north again in the past couple of years. And over there, people that I talk to now, they say that they have stopped conserving water because the water melting is now a continuous process. It even happens in the months of November and December, which was unheard of in districts like Gilgit, Skardu, or Khizr for that matter, and Hunza. So, within my lifetime, I've seen, climate change impacting agriculture patterns, climate change impacting, within the city, I'm an old resident of Islamabad. My parents first moved to Islamabad in '77. And I vividly remember that in the winter of 1984, it snowed in Islamabad. And there was so much snow up in the mountains that where actually Munal is today, I saw with my own eyes people making a snowman. Now, this time around, as somebody just said, that, we have winters that too have shortened because of global warming. And we didn't have any spring this year. March was the hottest March ever recorded in the history of Pakistan. And I had the opportunity to go into Riyadh this spring. And Riyadh, which actually goes to 50 or 52 degrees centigrade in the peak of the summer, Riyadh was colder in March than Islamabad. And, I was talking to my Saudi friends over there, and I said, I thought that, I'll be, going around in, T-shirts and Bermuda shorts, but Riyadh was much pleasant than Islamabad this year. So these are the realities that we have to, now face. The Climate Change Gender Action Plan, I remember we kicked off this initiative, which was last year or the year before that, Cheema sir? Last year, March 2021. And I'm glad that, during my stay at the Ministry of Climate Change, this report has come out, this policy or action plan, and as the lady said that, we should focus more on action rather than plan. One of the things that I always crib about in the government is that we have, some very good policies which, sometimes, we just put it on the shelf and they never either see the light of the day or not implemented in the manner in which they should be implemented. And having served in the field in my early years, I'm more of an action man. I believe more in implementation rather than, having a, very nice world-class document. So the meat is in the action, the meat is in the implementation. So I would urge all of you to basically join hands with the government and make it a successful initiative. As you know that, when it comes to gender, we are sometimes daunted in the government by my colleagues that we always have either a female secretary or a female minister. And I've had the pleasure of working with two, female ministers here in the Ministry of Climate Change. So as far as the gender component is concerned, we kind of are cognizant of the fact, and we make it a part of our, actionable kind of things that, we have a good, decent proportion of female officers as well as, people working with us in the ministry. One or two of the major initiatives which we are working on, one is the Living Indus initiative with which I worked closely with Florence. That also has a gender, component because, female workforce will be affected because of the dwindling water quality as well as water shortage when it comes to the river systems in Pakistan in the years to come. Our glaciers are melting very fast. We are becoming a water-stressed country very soon, and unless and until we do something about it very soon, the next 50 years to 70 years are going to be very, very tough for this country. And I say this from experience because, in the GLOF project, we've seen, water melting. And this year, in fact, we've had about 16 events so far, which were unheard of ever before. Before this, GLOF is basically glacial lake outburst flood, which actually destroys, houses and, livelihoods, whatever comes in its way. So from the gender point of view, then again, when a house is destroyed, it's the women folk which get affected first because you don't have a kitchen, you don't have a roof on your head. Men can live out there in the tents, but it's very difficult for women to cook food for their family or to live outside in the open for weeks and months. So those are some of the challenges that are going to happen. So it's very important for us to become cognizant of these challenges and make gender mainstreaming and gender action a part of every policy and every initiative that government takes. So with those words, I don't want to bore you further, and I want to see a smile on all of your faces when I go back to my seat. Thank you so much.